Big beautiful bill, yeah. Mm. Big beautiful bill, yeah. Well, baby, it's been signed, sealed, and delivered. The people said that they wanted a king and they got Saul. Baby, this is not politics, honey, but this is prophecy. Oh, my name is Larissa. I am the People's Reporter. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'm new here, but I got a whole lot to say. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. Let's just go on and get into it. Baby, there's $1.1 trillion cut in Medicaid. And let me tell you what that looks like, okay? Because we're going to have to go down the list. So $1.1 trillion in Medicaid. All right. A lot of nursing homes, convalescent homes shut down because they depend on Medicaid and Medicare. And by the way, the cuts in Medicaid triggers cuts in Medicare. Yes, it does. So those clinics and things that are in those rural areas, I don't know, you got a population of maybe 1,000, maybe 5,000. Okay. But that's rural. Okay. And the places are closing down because they depend on the Medicaid because the people in those particular areas, more often than not, are Medicaid recipients. They're Medicaid recipients. Now, the gist of what they said and the lie that they told was that fraud, waste, and abuse. Well, fraud, waste, and abuse is occurring right now. Yeah. The government has gone against its own people. And so since people were not satisfied with the government, they said, oh, Biden is too old. But you look at this one sitting up here, but they said Biden is too old. And you didn't want to vote for Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. No, you didn't want to vote for her, honey. Well, I got to ask you the question. Do you really think any of this would be going on if she was in office? Yeah, I'll tell you what I voted for. I voted for $50,000 tax credit if I started a new business. I voted for 25,000 tax credit if I bought a new home. I voted for 6,000 tax credit for new parents. So they can get what they need for the child, so the child can be healthy, with an additional 3,200 tax credit each year, each child thereafter. That's what I voted for. I voted for 3 million new homes being built across the nation. But what is happening right now is that rents are going up, food will become scarce, clinics will be closing. And as a matter of fact, we can just take a look at what's going on over there in Texas right about now.
The river, a series of summer camps. The La Junta camp for boys posting that everyone is safe. But some girls at Camp Mystic trapped.
Now there are 20-some that aren't accounted for. We're praying for all of those missing to be found alive.
You can feel the anxiety here as parents are waiting to hear word about their child. We're told that these children are being transported by helicopter, the only way out of the camp, as parents wait to hear they've returned safely.
The county judge pressed on why the camps weren't evacuated.
We knew there was going to be a problem. Why weren't these camps evacuated?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
These camps were in harm's way. We knew this flood was coming.
We didn't know this flood was coming. Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming.
NOAA has been cut. National Weather Service, which is housed under NOAA, has been cut.
The proposed fiscal year 2026 budget proposed by the White House, which includes severe cuts, additional cuts to NOAA, which would shutter all the national labs. I'm talking about the National Severe Storms Laboratory over in Oklahoma. They've improved our ability to warn people about dangerous severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, for example. It also shuts down all the monitoring of carbon dioxide all around the world, including the Mauna Loa Observatory over there in Hawaii. And right here in Miami, it shutters our Hurricane Research Division, which is located right there in Virginia Key. It's part of AOML, the Atmospheric Oceanographic Marine Laboratory. They would shut that. Altogether, over 200 scientists would be fired in this process, and we would lose the ability to continue to improve hurricane forecasts going forward. We've gotten better at it. We're better than 25 years ago, but right now we're basically heading back to the previous century in terms of our ability to forecast hurricanes. Because, amongst other things, crucial microwave data from a satellite, 3 satellites, jointly operated by NOAA and the Department of Defense, That data is expected to be shut off before August 1st. Originally, it was going to end this Monday. I protested, many other hurricane specialists protested, and now they've delayed it until the end of July, but it's going to be missing for the peak of hurricane season, and we really need that data. This, of course, on top of all the already missing meteorological data from the upper air balloons, which we've talked about extensively, to sail drones, which are these unmanned vehicles that float and direct themselves into the heart of hurricanes to monitor information there. That's gone for this year, and a critically short-staffed National Weather Service. Bottom line, you are less safe this hurricane season due to these cuts from the U.S. government and the executive branch.
And then they say that FEMA is only there to provide supportive services. No, FEMA is federal and is supposed to lead a catastrophe such as this magnitude over there in Texas. That governor doesn't do jack. That governor never did. Remember when they were frozen out and there was no food on the shelves and things like that? 34 people unalived already, with many, many missing still. 14 of them children. And naturally, Kristi Noem gets herself up there, honey, and she don't know what she's talking about. So she passes the buck to everybody. She blames the previous administrations of old and faulty infrastructure on why they couldn't get the notice in time. Well, might I add, let me remind you, Miss Noem, let me remind you, Secretary Noem, that Trump was in office from 2016 to 2020. So who's zooming who? Because the math ain't mathing, baby. The math ain't mathing. Okay, let's just go on and keep on getting into it. Okay, so with the SNAP cuts, okay, USDA. Now let's think about it. You go in there with your EBT card or whatever it is that you have these days, and you go buy some meat and things like that. Well, the farmers depend on the food stamps as well. Yes. So guess what that's going to do? They're not going to have the money, and many of them have already spent the money. And it's funny how this administration will start the fire and then come in for a bailout. Like they're the savior. Yeah, that's what a king does. But that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted. We got, let's see, we have a J6er that has been pardoned. They tried to overturn the government and overthrow the government, but yet they've been pardoned, and now they're an advisor for what? Homeland Security. And then we could move closer to Laura Loomer. And she says, and I am paraphrasing, and I'll put her little stuff up here, what she said, what she posted. But basically she was like, oh yeah, we can feed the illegals to the alligators. Ain't that something? Laura Loomer, the one that looks like Jigsaw. All she needs is a red tricycle to go rolling through the halls of the White House. On top of that dark hill. She fit right on in. All she needed some little circles right here. Laura Loomer, that one. And then she says that the alligators are guaranteed 65 million meals. And they could go ahead and get started now. So she's talking about feeding folks to alligators. Now, let me just tell you. Now, that 65 million, she got that from the 2023 data. And guess what? 66.3 million people that are Hispanic. And now this particular government has made the largest law enforcement agency compiled of J6ers, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, and white nationalists, because there is no way in the world that you can convince me that these people are government employees, because government employees have a certain look. They are not fat and sloppy and out of touch. No, and they wear a green uniform. These people are in plain clothes and hiding their faces. Well, I feel like this. If you are bold enough to go and snatch people up off the street and beat them and point guns at them like you're doing, then you should be bold enough to take these masks off your face. Or is that just another way of having a white mask that's pointed at the top? Inquiry minds want to know. Inquiry minds got to know. So now ICE is the largest law enforcement in the land, and he has raised the money in order to get this done. He has given them more money to Border Patrol and more money to ICE, and deputized all of these racist individuals to come out and snatch people off the street. But what I will tell you is that those Medicaid cuts, Those Medicaid cuts begin December of 2026, the month after the midterms. They knew exactly what they were doing. They planned that strategically. 65 million people. Yeah, they're already doing the removal of naturalized citizenship. This administration that says, yes, now we're going to make it to the point where Homeland Security will take away your naturalized status or your citizenship if you are found to be guilty of one of these crimes that they mentioned. And it ranges anything from fraud to, I don't know, you might take $1 extra off a SNAP. I don't know. But they will remove your citizenship. There's a lot going on, baby. There's a lot going on. I'm going to say good luck. I'm going to say good luck, especially to those in these red states, because you are the ones who really put him in office, along with the 89 million who did not vote at all, saying that they were going to teach Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris a lesson. Well, baby, they going on about their lives. How you living? How you doing? How you doing? Okay? So here's my question. Is America great again? Well, my name's Larissa. I'm the People's Reporter. I'm so glad that y'all stuck with me on this one. Go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss nothing, because, baby, it's going to be a lot to talk about. Now, I'm not saying any of this to put people in fear, but I am saying these things so that you be in the know, so that you can make wise decisions and make some different choices. You're going to have to pivot, okay? And for those of you that cannot handle adversity, I don't really know what to tell you, except for, we told you so. Power to the people. Good day. Class is over.